Hello, my name is Luke Angstead. This is my podcast, Knowledge Wars. I'm here with Rick Weber again. Rick there's been a lot of new developments to his case. And back in 1986, he was completely railroaded by the legal system over outrageous false allegations that he was able to demonstrably prove were patently false on more occasions than he can count. And Rick, I've been in touch with Rick over the months, and he told me that like I said, there were new developments. He just recently, for example, he was able to get the original copy or the full copy of his file of his case from 1986 for the first time. And today's November 8th, 2022. So over the better part of 35, 36 years, I mean, he's just recently been able to hold in his hands the full case file. And also there was some very funny business that went on when he was in court with a probation parole officer about a month ago that we wanted to, flesh out and go into some detail on. So without any further ado, I'm grateful and thankful that I have Rick here, and then I'm able to share his story. And we ultimately want the truth to prevail, which I believe it will. So, Rick, thanks for being here again.
Thank you.
Love for you to take it from here.
Okay.
Where do you want to start?
Well, thank you, Luke, for having me this morning. Today is the 8th.
Yep, November 8th, election day.
Election day. Yeah. So, as Luke mentioned, I have been able to. I was in contact with Brevard County actually this morning, and they sent me an email with files that I still have to go through. I've had the transcript of the trial in my possession for quite a while, actually for several years. But now there's other information that I'm trying to gather, which they've not been able to provide me with, regarding the signature of my whereabouts on the date that I was accused of this heinous crime, and other paperwork such as the 40 letters from the classmates, there's a couple of other things that I can't. The first trial. There's actually no record of the first trial, or the state attorney's filing for a continuance that moved the trial to May 7th and 8th of 1987, which there I was kind of railroaded with there was an actual date given by the accuser of May 2nd of 1986, but when we got into trial in May of 87, the date was changed to sometime between the 1st and the 31st of May of 1986. So again, there was just a lot of things that didn't make sense.
I mean, before we get ahead of ourselves, I mean, I feel like I wanted to put a little exclamation point on this, just to allow people to pause. Because we can, we live in this super information age where we're just inundated with information, and when we hear something, oftentimes it's in one ear and out the other, and it's just on to the next, sensational, salacious, story in the news. But I mean, we talk about somebody who was accusing Rick in 1986 of rape, which is one of the most heinous crimes any woman could accuse a man of, on one specific day. And she has, you said May 2nd.
May 2nd.
So her memory goes from being as exact as it comes, what happened on exact as it could be, May 2nd of 1986 to, it could have been anywhere between May 1st and May 31st. I mean, we talk about, changing your story and making it up on the fly. And it's
not, I don't,
you're just about your credibility going through the roof where, but it was the judge, right? Wasn't it the judge who said it could have happened?
The state attorney.
The state attorney said, oh, wait a second, it could have happened anytime between May 1st and May 31st. I mean, it's just it's so egregiously offensive, and you're talking about playing a game with someone's life.
Well, that's
what I wanted to emphasize. The point. It's like,
yeah.
we go from what happened on May 2nd, it could have happened from May 1st to May 31st. It's like, wait a second. It's like saying, like, oh, my house burned down on May 2nd of 1986. Oh no, wait a second, my memory's foggy. My house burned down anytime between May 1st and May 31st. And,
exactly.
We have to figure out the day my house burned down. I mean, it's
exactly,
on the face of it, it's just asinine. So anyway, I get emotional, but it's like when you hear something, we're like, wow, just that one fact in and of itself should exonerate somebody. However, here we are 36 years later. So please, Rick, go ahead. I just wanted to.
Yeah, well, that on top of the fact that it was actually documented, there was a police report that was given, and there was allegedly there was a diary, and in that diary, she had written something on that date.
Mhm.
So that's her own words. That's her own. Those are her own. Those are her own words in her diary
Mhm.
as to May 2nd. But when I appeared at the first trial, which was at the end of 1986, and I
Mhm.
had a sheet of paper with my signature on the date that she claimed this took place, with my signature being on this document at five. I believe it was between 5:30 and 6 o'clock in the evening, and she said this took place at around 7 o'clock
Mhm.
in the evening. Well, I had a documented sheet of paper from the city of Palm Bay with my signature on it and the signature of over 100 other people. So there were people who saw me at this event. I
Mhm.
actually performed at this event and could not leave the event until it was completed, or else I would have been disqualified. So
Mhm.
from the time I signed in at 5:30, between 5:30 and 6 o'clock, until after 11 o'clock was when the event ended. So
Mhm.
I was there for the whole time, and there were people that came to my initial trial to testify on my behalf, but because I did not disclose that information to the state attorney, to my public defender, when I came into the courtroom with the people and the documented letter, that's
Mhm.
when the state attorney asked for a continuance. We
Mhm.
can't find this Brevard County. I was in touch with them this morning. They cannot find a continuance request by the state attorney. They can't even find the original, the first trial. So again, there's things that the state of Florida is hiding
Mhm.
for whatever reason. But again, moving forward to where we are today, I've got the transcript sitting right here. So with the case number was 86-3521-CF-A. The trial date was May 7th of 1987 at 1:30 p.m. and May 8th, 1987 at 1 o'clock p.m. So there were 2 days of testimony.
Now, Rick, is this the one that you just recently got in your possession?
No, I've had this.
Okay, so this is the one you
I've
got.
had
Okay,
this.
but
It's the other. It's the other paperwork that we're trying to
okay,
find
yeah.
that we can't get a hold of.
Okay.
I got the
So you
files.
finally got that.
I
Okay.
actually got the files this morning sent over to
Mhm.
me from Brevard County,
Mhm.
and I haven't had a chance to go through them yet. But everything that's in the files, they can't find. They can't find the things that I mentioned earlier. So I'm going to go through them myself just to make sure that we didn't miss, that they didn't miss anything, and that I don't miss anything.
Mhm.
So, but moving on to where we are today. As you recall, in the last um, recording that we did, I had some dealings with the sex offender registry where my truck had been in a minor accident and I was having some work done on it. And when I went into, I had to report that I was driving a different vehicle. So that way, if I got pulled over, I wasn't in violation of their rules and regulations. So when I went into the office to report the vehicle change, I was told that I could not have a copy of any of the paperwork, and because I asked for a copy to verify that the information I had given them was actually being recorded, and they told me I couldn't have it. So I had to write a letter to FDLE to get a copy of it, which they finally did send me a copy through an email with all the changes that were done. And then 3 days later, I had to go back and change it back to my vehicle
Mhm.
that I was driving,
Mhm.
the vehicle that I own, so that I'm not in violation again.
Mhm.
But they would not give me a copy, and in fact, they told me I had to figure out how to inform this the Florida Department of Law Enforcement that I was requesting a copy, which I eventually did get. But in October of this year was I have to register 2 times a year, on my birth month, which is April, and then 6 months later, which is October.
Mhm.
So I went in October to register last month, and lo and behold, how about that? I get a copy. The officer informs me that apparently my complaining about not getting a copy, well, voila, I got a copy of this of all the information that I had given them. But the officer, whose name is John Troll, and I know this was in the last recording that we made. He asked me several questions regarding my age, my where my address, color of
Mhm.
my hair, weight. No, just
Mhm.
I guess just mandatory questions. Okay, that he asked, and then he asked me to sign a signature pad. And when I asked him what I was signing, he assured me I was only signing the information. I was only signing the paper, the signature pad, confirming that all the information that I had given to him was accurate and was up to date. Okay, fine. I did that, which I have a copy of that page right here with my signature on it. And under my signature, I wrote under duress. You probably can't read it because I can't even hardly read it. But it was on the 18th of last month, and John Pro was the officer that I reported to. And like I said, he assured me I was only signing that the information I'd given him was true and up to date. Well, then when Mr. Pro goes ahead and gives me my copy, okay, here's page 1, which has my picture on it and my information. Page 2, more information. But then before the signature page, Mr. Pro decides to sneak in all of the rules and regulations that we did not discuss. We've never ever had a discussion of all the years that I've been checking in. They've never gone over the rules and regulations. They just give us a sheet of paper which explains how we're supposed to check in, how we're supposed to update our information. But I noticed something about this. There's 3 pages here of rules. There's page 1. There's page 2. And then again, there's page 3. So these are the 3 pages that never once did we have a discussion over while I was in his office. Okay. So, but he sneaks this in, and he does it, he puts it in right before the signature page. So it makes it look like this contract was talked about and discussed, but we never discussed this. And you were on the phone. I had you on the phone listening to this whole
the whole exchange,
the whole
exchange.
exchange. So, but I also want to let people know that before this, which took place last month, this is what their rules and regulations looked like before. It was a front and back page, and the verbiage in here has been completely changed. So it's not even the same verbiage as what's in the new. So, and the fact that they've never ever gone over all the rules and regulations. Fortunately for me, I can read, but there are people who are probably on the sex offender register who have no idea how to interpret any of this stuff. Okay, and it's very confusing. So the fact that they don't take the time to explain it leaves you pretty open when it comes to, well, I didn't understand what the rules said. So, and you get violated because you misinterpreted something, and that's a 3rd-degree felony. And right now I am looking at 11 years. But the fact of the matter is even being able to read this, it's really hard to understand when they say things like at registration, you must provide the following information. Well, that's at registration. Nowhere does it talk about if you change your address. I mean, it does briefly state if you change your address, you got 48 hours. But the fact that it says at registration, I must provide the following information to the department: name, date of birth, social security number, race, sex, height, weight, tattoos, all that stuff. But if you don't do this until registration, and for some reason you get pulled over for something, and you've got all this information that's changed, well, when I go to my next registration, I'm going to inform them that this is what's going on. But I'm being violated because they say that I moved out of a house that I was staying at because I was having issues with the landlord. And I did take my stuff out of the house, but I made sure that every night that I was on that driveway in my truck at the residence that was reported. So that way, if they ever did come by to check to see if I was there, they could see that my vehicle was there and that I was staying on that property. Nowhere does it say that you have to be living in the home.
Mm-hmm.
I was at the residence.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, and like I said, they've never given us paperwork with the changes that were made. So up until this is the first time I've gotten a copy as I'm walking out the door with the changes with the information that I had given them. So again, incompetence, the fact that they don't cover the rules, the fact that they don't instruct, and they probably can't read it for themselves. They probably can't understand what they would be instructing us to do anyway, because it's so it's hodgepodge. It's written very poorly. The new set of rules are a little more, they're a little more clearer, but the fact that he never took the time to go over the new rules and the new regulations, that right there, in my opinion, is complete lack of it's incompetence. It's complete lack of wanting to make sure that there's an understanding that some of the rules have changed.
Mm-hmm.
And so again, it leaves the individual who's trying to make sure he doesn't violate.
Mm-hmm.
It leaves him wide open for a misinterpretation.
Yeah, it does.
And then if you misinterpret something, mm-hmm, they don't even try to determine if it was intentional. Mm-hmm. They automatically just assume that it was intentional, and you're automatically. I mean, I was arrested when I went in and the thing is when I was arrested, I was actually at the office registering for the month of October in 2021, and when I walked in. As soon as I walked in, they shut the door behind me, and two more officers came in, and they didn't read me my rights. They just handcuffed me and says, yeah, we've been over to the house and you weren't there. Mm-hmm. Well, when did you go?
Mm-hmm. Well, you said these are the 3 pages that they added.
These are the three.
Yeah,
these are the 3 new pages.
The 3 new pages that you weren't privy to. You didn't have an opportunity to read over them, nor were they read to you. I mean, that's just malicious. Is what that is.
Yeah.
Call what it is.
But that's how I interpret it. You're an innocent.
Malicious.
You're an innocent. You're a person that's just on the sidelines, watching, seeing and understanding what's been going on.
Mm-hmm.
And mm-hmm, I mean, you can look at it, but the fact that he stapled it inside the contract, okay,
it's sneaky.
Yeah,
it's dishonest. Everything.
I mean, I'm a business
under the sun.
I'm a business owner, so when I write contracts, I disclose everything to my clients before they sign. Mm-hmm. And when I asked him, what am I signing? And he says, you're just signing, saying that the information you gave me is accurate and up to date. Mm-hmm. And those are his words. Mm-hmm. And you heard it.
Yeah.
You heard it for yourself. Mm-hmm. So when I get this paperwork and it's got all these rules and regulations inside of the contract, and then the last page, the signature page, is stapled following the rules and regulation. I'm sorry, but if I were to pull that stunt in my business, I'd probably be facing felony charges of or some type of legal action against me because I added that after the fact. So again, how do you interpret that?
Oh, I already said, it's malicious. It's as dishonest and sneaky and malicious as it gets, but it's par for the course when you know who you're dealing with here.
And something else that, like I spoke to you earlier, that transpired earlier. Actually, it transpired yesterday. I'm renting a place, and I'm not gonna mention any names or anything, but I've been there since January of this year, and just so happens that the owner last night made the comment that Manatee County had called him yesterday and informed him that because he's renting out his home, that he is in jeopardy of losing his I'm drawing a blank. His homestead exemption. Okay, so the only way Manatee County would know that he's renting out his a room to me is the fact that because I have to report where I'm living in order to keep within the guidelines of their demands. So now they're going after the homeowner and saying because they're renting out their room to somebody. Now they're threatening them with you're going to lose your homestead exemption. So I'm expecting within a few days, depending on what he finds out, the homeowner, of being asked to leave. So are they helping individuals that are faced with this kind of a charge? Or are they intentionally setting them up to become homeless? And then, of course, then the state's going to come up with a halfway house or some kind of a deal where the state of Florida is going to be getting a government funded subsidy. They're going to get some kind of government funding to house sex offenders, registered sex offenders. Whether they are or not, that's to be seen yet. But if you followed our Zoom calls and what we've posted on Facebook or on YouTube, if you follow us, then you can see that there's definitely a path here, and it definitely does not look good for the state of Florida or any other state who's engaging in this kind of behavior.
So the next step is reviewing this, the full case file that you just received today, right? I mean, have you had a chance to go over that?
I haven't.
Okay,
I just got like 5 minutes before.
Okay, but that's the next step, right?
Yeah,
and sitting down with then a lawyer here, defense lawyer, who can read through it as well.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So I've got we both have a mutual friend in Kansas that I'm gonna I've talked with him about this and just kind of there's a lot to
there's a lot to unwind and unravel, but there are so many every step of the way. I think you have an abundance of evidence to prove malicious, callous indifference, just more malicious, not just malicious, I mean malicious intent to harm you, to harm you and to bury you.
And most people don't have the resources to fight back and
or the willpower to fight over for
for
the better part of 36 years to clear your name.
But there just comes a time in life when there just comes a time in life when you just have to say enough's enough. And I've been through this for 36 years. And the fact that there was no DNA, when I reach out to organizations like the Innocence Project, I've reached out to them, and the first question they asked, well, was there a DNA test done? No, there was never one done. Not because I refused. I actually agreed to a DNA test that would have exonerated me. So they refused it. They refused all the medical exams that were offered to them. So
it's like every step of the way they come with an allegation. I mean, just for example, that picking the exact date of when this woman said that this happened, and you come back and say, okay, I was at a sporting event, and there were 100 people on the list, 15 of which are my friends. They can completely corroborate that I was here.
Exactly.
When she says this, okay, no, then we change it between. It didn't happen on this exact day. It happened anytime between the 1st and the 31st of a month. I mean, which is just. It's just ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. So then again with the DNA, oh no, we don't need the DNA. And you're like, here, I will volunteer. Here it is to clear my name. No, we don't need that. It's like it's every step of the way. And Rick goes into great detail in the previous videos where every single time this woman, this girl, or the state came with allegations like, okay, this is how I can prove my innocence. And every step of the way, they either changed their story. Or they found a way to come after him again.
And the fact that the psychiatrist, I've got this was on the last video, so the psychiatrist that were doing the psychiatric evaluations of this person, both psychiatrists, never once did the mother or the girl that accused me of this ever say anything about this happening. But yet she tried to commit suicide, and in the closing arguments of the trial, the state attorney used that as his final closing to plant the seed into the jury's mind that this poor girl who tried to commit suicide because of these actions. And that's what the jury heard. The jury never heard the psychiatrist because they were never subpoenaed to the trial. But at my sentencing, my parents had hired an attorney, and it's all right on the computer. And the psychiatrist, because they were subpoenaed, they were under obligation to disclose the information, which the judge then turned on them and said, well, you know, this is client doctor privilege, and this was not supposed to be put out there, but it was put out, and I've got it on the transcripts of the exchange between the judge, the state attorney, my attorney, and the two psychiatrists at the sentencing. And it's blatantly clear that the state tried to shut them up, and in fact, the judge did shut them up, or shut the one psychiatrist up when he threatened them with legal action, because they said it was against the law for them to disclose the information that they disclosed. But again, you're subpoenaed. You have an obligation, and they were not informed that they could not disclose that information. So.
Well, Rick, is there anything else you wanted to add here? I mean, we know the next step is you do have to consult with some defense attorneys. Yeah, I would more than one. You know, I would. You want to get numerous opinions on that. Get at least 2 or 3 opinions on that. But yeah, you definitely have to go through that file that you received today.
Yeah,
and I can't play. So that was everything from 1986. So that's the first time you've had the entire.
Well, I don't even know what's on this, but I do know this.
But you received, okay.
I do know this. I've been in touch with Brevard County, and I actually went to Brevard County in February of this year, and they could not find my signature from the city of Palm Bay, which is why the first trial was granted a continuance, because I had my signature on the date that the victim says this alleged crime took place, and she gave a time, and so I've got that, which is missing, with 100 other signatures. I've got there were 40 letters that were written by her classmates regarding her coming to school and bragging about doing table dances at her mom's parties when her mom had parties at the apartment. There was something too that I again, and this is on the last video, that I just discovered. I had actually for the first time read the judge's instructions to the jury before they went in to deliberate, and they were given something that, and in the transcripts it says that I allegedly said something, right? Allegedly something I had allegedly done or said that was given to the jury. Okay, if it's an alleged, that's not a fact. That's an assumption. But the fact that my public defender didn't object to that information being given to the jury in their instructions, and we can't find that either. So I've asked Brevard County for that information, and there's no record of that either. So why are all these supposed facts against me? Why are they not in the records? Why were they done away with? Why were they destroyed, if that's the case? I guess we'll find out, because I'm going to go through. Like I said, I talked to Brevard County this morning, and she sent me over an email. So I have to go through the email, go through whatever instructions they got to get to the records, so that I can go through and try to find what it is that we can't find. And if it's not there, it's not there. Yeah. So. But again,
you want to do that. You need to do that today, right? You're going to go through that. You need to go through that file today.
Yeah,
and then tomorrow you have to be on the phone. Calling. No, Rick. I mean, I mean it, right? That's what you have to do.
Yeah, I've got to. I think my next step is to incorporate a couple of attorneys just to consult with them
Sure.
and find out where what their thoughts are. But I mean, we've dug up so much stuff over the last year, and I credit a lot of my information from our friend in Kansas, because he has opened my eyes to a lot of things. And unfortunately, they're not just going to say we were
Oh, we
wrong.
made a mistake.
We made a
Sorry.
mistake,
No,
Mr.
yeah.
Weber.
No, they're not going to.
Well, yeah, they're not going to. So we have to. But the fact that I've got all this information now, and when I sit down with an attorney, he can't deny that what I have is fact. So I don't know what game they're playing, but I guess we're gonna find out.
Yes, we will.
So
Right.
that's kind of where we're at right now.
And when's your next court appearance?
December 8th at 1:30 in the afternoon.
Do you want to give the address and
at the Manatee County Courthouse on Manatee Avenue. It's the
And what time was it again?
it's at 1:30
1:30. Okay.
Yeah.
On what day again?
on December 8th.
December 8th at 1:30, Manatee County Courthouse,
Correct. Judicial Center.
Judicial Center.
So.
All right. And that gives you ample time to consult with.
Well, yeah, it
Which
gives me
is
time to
fine.
consult. It gives me time to consult, with attorneys. But when we were in court the last time, I addressed the state attorney and had asked him several questions. One regarding if he understood that his being an attorney, that he had sworn an oath to the Constitution for the United States of America, and he refused. He wouldn't even look at me. He refused to even answer the question, and then the judge answered the question for him, which kind of, the way it looked to me was the judge was actually instructing or counseling the state attorney. So the state attorney never actually voiced vocal, never actually committed any he didn't answer the question, which would have been on record. So I'm thinking that this next time on the 8th, I'm going to reiterate my questions that I asked at the previous hearing and demand that if the judge decides he wants to answer the questions, I'm going to object to his answering the question and demand that the state attorney answers my questions. And if the state attorney refuses to do so, then I'm going to ask that the case be dropped. Because if he's not going to answer any questions, I'm not answering any more of their questions. Period. End of discussion. And we'll go from there.
All right.
And I know people, it takes a lot to do that, but if you understand what 36 years of this nonsense has been, I mean, I've lost so many opportunities because of this. I've lived under a thumb. You understand what it's like to be under a thumb for most of your life, knowing just knowing that this was an unjust finding of guilt. It has affected relationships, and I get it. I understand. I mean, I think if I were the other person, I probably would be judgmental. But I would also be open to hearing what the facts are. And that's what most people, and again, that's the society we're in. Facts. We live in an illusion. There's actually, if you really take a step back, we live most of the things we see on the computer, on the internet, it's all somebody's opinion. And that's pretty much
it is, yeah.
That's pretty much where we're at. It's an opinion, and until you do your own due diligence and look for the facts and then come back with actual footage or actual facts that debunk all the stuff we're seeing on the internet, but most people don't take the time. And we have all this technology at our fingertips and we don't even use it, And again, before this year, I was guilty of just assuming that what I saw on the internet was fact. But now that I'm reading Jefferson Davis, and I'm finding out the Civil War was a complete total. It's not what we were taught in high school. It's not what we were taught in school. It's completely the opposite. And I just found something last night, actually, that I don't know how many people know this, but there's Thomas Jefferson had several children with one of his slave ladies. He's got children
Mhm.
who are now, millionaires because of the inheritance that they
Mhm.
got from him. So
Mhm.
again, this is also they don't tell us in high school. They don't teach us this in high school. They don't tell us about the good things
Mhm.
that have taken place.
But just to stay on point, I mean,
Yeah,
those are interesting human interest stories. But
yeah,
specifically to this case, I mean, you have a wealth of information,
yeah,
details that need to be picked apart piece by piece. And at this point, Rick, I mean, as your friend, I mean, not just for the video, but I mean, you have to sit down with a defense attorney who can see how wrong you were and that you need to be compensated. I mean, not that any kind of monetary compensation
no,
is going to
make it,
adequately make up for the time and the heartache and the misery and the tears and the heartache of what you've gone through over the better part of 36 years. But it, I mean, your will and perseverance needs that this story needs to be told for because this isn't just one isolated incident. I mean, how many people get railroaded by the system, you know,
exactly.
not just in the United States, but all across the world. Obviously, we're just getting off on a tangent, but
Yeah,
the fact of the matter is these individuals, these story, in Rick's individual story needs to be told. It needs to be heard. It needs to be fleshed out in all its unsavory details to show and to prove that this wasn't just incompetence or negligence. I mean, there is, like I said, there is egregious, malicious intent by the state to destroy one man's life because the state doesn't want to admit that it's wrong and made a mistake, and that has grave consequences. And this is just one individual case study of that, and that's why the story needs to be heard, and you need to
well,
fight it out until you win because you will win. You will
yeah,
win.
yeah. Well, the fact that they you say it destroyed one man's life, but if you really look at how this all works, once once laws are made based on on decisions in a courtroom,
Mhm.
those laws then destroy other people's lives as
They
well.
do.
And
Yeah.
that's what this is about. This is
Yeah.
about making laws
Hmm.
to justify the convictions.
Hmm.
And even though they're wrong and they were based on lies, look how 36 years I'm still fighting these guys.
Yeah.
But look at how many people who have probably gone to prison
Oh, sure.
based on lies,
Hmm.
made up stuff.
Yeah.
So
So, well, Rick, is there anything else you wanted to add, or is this a good place to
I
say
think
to
this is
be
a good place.
continued until after December 8th, and then when
Yeah,
we get some more updates
I
when
think so.
you sit down with some defense lawyers?
Unless I
To see what
discover
you
things,
have?
unless I discover
Yeah.
stuff in the emails that I received this
Well, yeah, the
morning.
next item of business is to go through that file with a fine tooth comb
Yep,
and
yep. So,
sit
and
down
if
with
something
two or
else
three
changes,
lawyers.
we'll update you.
Sure.
Keep everybody updated what's going on.
All right. So,
Well, thank you so
all right.
much.
Well, thank you, Rick. Thank you for coming here, and
Thank
thank you
you.
for continuing to share your
Definitely.
story with me and anyone else out there who has the time and the patience to listen. And it's a story that needs to be heard. So, all right. Thank you, everyone. This is Luke Angstead of Knowledge Wars. Until next time, have a good day.
Thank you.